It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
I'm AP Steadham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP as we see it, a syndicated weekly 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference and always keeping our eye on the national college football scene, college football, and other sports. Welcome to another edition of AP as we see it. We'd like to direct our audience to our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and X account. That's AP as we see it. And also our YouTube channel, which every week we broadcast so people can visualize our production. That's at AP as we see it on my YouTube channel. Facebook has the links, Instagram, X account as well. We also have archived on Spotify, the audio version, and we're on local stations as well. You could check that, your local stations around the state of Alabama, and we reach out to Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee through those 20 to 25 stations. So check your local listings for when it comes on. They usually broadcast it Thursday, Friday, and also Saturday as well. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. Remember, Greer's, family, friends, and football is a winning tradition at Greer's. You can score big savings on fresh meats, produce, and more on game for your game day spreads. Go to Groceries to Go to have the food and all the different products from Greer's delivered to your home, your office, the venue of your choice. They have the coloring contest for the children. You can also check the weekly ads. Those are always significant and help you save money for your family and also your friends. And remember, Lucy's Famous Recipes are online. She has a book out. You can buy that at the store or online as well. But anyway, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, as I mentioned, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to thank Robert Stale Dental Care, 251-947-3636. That's Robert Stale Dental Care. Dr. Jason Northcutt, not only our basic services offered by Dr. Jason Northcutt, but he has developed a niche within the practice, providing comprehensive services such as dental implants, single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. Dr. Jason Northcutt has been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems. Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff. We'd also like to thank the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, downtown, right in the heart of the city. They have the spacious rooms, the pool with indoor pool with the serene and tropical setting. It's beautiful. They have the restaurants and the gift shops. They have an outstanding buffet, cook to order on weekends. Ben Giacomo and his staff are very hospitable and do an outstanding job at the Cortland Grand Hotel, downtown Atlanta. So we want to make mention of all our sponsors. Once again, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. The Dr. Jason Northcutt and his staff, Robert Stale Dental Care, 251-947-3636, and the Cortland Grand Hotel in downtown Atlanta. But anyway, let's get on to the show. We always like to bring up the Football Writers Association, National Football Foundation Super 16 poll. And this week, the Super 16 poll, the composite is 50 plus voters from around the country. I'm one of the voters. They had Ohio State at number 1, Miami number 2, Indiana number 3, Texas A&M number 4, Ole Miss at number 5, Alabama at number 6, Texas Tech number 7, Georgia number 8, Oregon number 9, LSU number 10, Tennessee number 11, Georgia Tech number 12, Oklahoma number 13, Notre Dame 14, BYU 15, and Mizzou 16. In my particular poll, I had Ohio State number 1, Indiana 2nd, Georgia number 3, Miami 4, Texas A&M 5, Ole Miss number 6, Alabama number 7, Tennessee number 8, LSU number 9, Texas Tech 10, Oregon 11, BYU 12, Oklahoma 13, Georgia Tech 14, Mizzou 15, and USC 16. So I had some new teams in there, but I'm probably going to rethink some of my positions in my specific poll for this coming week. But I think the most impressive game last week was that Indiana win by double digits. Those two Big Ten teams faced off in Oregon, Autzen Stadium. That's a difficult place to win a ball game. Indiana won by double digits. And Kurt Signetti, he's been quite impressive with his team. Last week, I happened to be, as I told you, I was at the Ohio State-Illinois game. I saw Ohio State up close and personal. We know they have the two outstanding receivers that are potential All-Americans, outstanding quarterback that transferred from Alabama, Julian Sayin, by California. He's a California native. Ohio State plays very good defense, but Illinois, they had 3 or 4 turnovers, and there's just no way you can beat a team like Ohio State. And I say give them the ball, but really Ohio State took it from them on some interceptions and some fumbles. So Illinois played them a tough game, 34-16, but it could have been much better. But when you have those turnovers and you're trying to defeat a top-rated team like Ohio State, it's very, very difficult. I would say Ohio State is a defensive-oriented team at this point, even though they have those outstanding people on the offensive side. You just get the feeling that Ohio State, as they progress through the season, they're going to become more dynamic offensively because, like I said, they have outstanding, terrific athletes on the perimeter to catch the football for their quarterback, good running backs, excellent tight ends, good offensive line, and then they pressure you on defense, and they're very difficult to score against. So Ohio State right now at the top of my poll, and also the Football Writers Association of American National Football Foundation Super 16 poll. Looking at the games this week, we have 8 conference games. Everybody's playing a conference team this week in the Southeastern Conference. But I just want to make mention before we proceed that this week I was also at the SEC men's and women's basketball media days in Birmingham, Alabama. And just to give you an idea about basketball, if you think football is very difficult to figure with all the transfer portals and the NIL, basketball, some teams 7, 8, 9, up to 12 new players on one team, men's or women's. And it's very difficult to make any projections, but this is the predicted order of finish. I'll just make people aware. Florida, and this is in the men's, Florida number 1, Kentucky number 2, Tennessee number 3, Alabama 4, Arkansas, Auburn, Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU, and South Carolina picked last on the men's side. On the women's side, the predicted order of finish, I always mention the first 4, South Carolina, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi State, Florida, Georgia, Missouri, Texas A&M, Auburn, and Arkansas at the bottom. The projected players of the year, Otega Owa of Kentucky on the men's side. In the preseason on the women's side is Madison Booker of Texas. So 2 outstanding choices. But that basketball, I think you're going to have to watch some of those games that are to be played because, like I said, there's so much differentiation on the roster from the prior year. And you have players that were in the SEC on one team. Now they're on a different SEC team this year. So that's something new. And that's probably hard to accept for some of the fan base, some of the alumni. One minute you're having a ball player in the men's and the women's game competing for you and you're cheering them. And the next thing you know, they're wearing the opposing uniform of a team within the league, maybe the rival. But there's a possibility it could be the rival, but that's the nature of college athletics now. Players are moving around for a number of reasons: playing time, more money with the NIL situation, and maybe there's a difference of opinion with the coach. So there's many reasons that players move around the SEC and come from other leagues to play. And number one, they come to the SEC because Last year, they had the historical record number of teams on the men's side and the women's side making the NCAA tournament. So they all believe when I spoke to them this week at the SEC media days for the men's and women's, they all mentioned the fact that they thought the SEC was the best league and competitive. And another thing they mentioned, of course, is the physicality in the men's and women's basketball league of the Southeastern Conference. So there's so much notoriety for the league, especially having the great run in the NCAA tournament, a couple of teams in the Final Four, having so many teams make the Final Four. Make the NCAA tournament. So that's a good enough reason for some of these players to opt out of their current school. And some players that played at a couple SEC schools are on their third. I found that to be true with men and the women. So it's an unusual situation. But anyhow, we're going to be back after these messages with another edition, another segment of AP As We See It, and we'll be discussing the conference games this week. Hi, I'm AP Steadham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we're back with AP As We See It, segment 2. We're going to delve into the games in the Southeastern Conference. As I said, there's 8 conference games. Everybody's on tap to play someone within the league. So let's check out the first game that we have listed right now is Texas A&M. Texas A&M is 6-0, 3-0 in the conference. They're coming off a victory at home against the University of Florida, 34-17. They're number 4 in the Football Writers Association of America National Football Foundation Super 16 poll, and they're facing Arkansas. Arkansas is 2-4, 0-2 in the conference. Arkansas played a tough game against Tennessee, losing 34-31. But that Arkansas team, you just feel that they have the chance to upset someone because of that talented quarterback, Taylor Green. Offensively, they're very prolific. Bobby Petrino is the interim coach at this moment, but defensively, they struggle. Texas A&M is averaging 34 points a game. They're surrendering 20 points a game right now. Arkansas averaging 36 points a game, giving up 30 points a game. So that's been their issue for years now. They just can't seem to find people to play in the secondary and shut down those exciting passing offenses that the Razorbacks face year in and year out. Looking at some of the numbers, for instance, the total defense for Arkansas, they're 120th, giving up 435 yards, but offensively over 500 yards. They're 6th in the country. So if they can just get a turnaround with either Bobby Petrino as the next head coach or someone they bring to the program, they have the skill players to compete. They just can't find people defensively that are very proficient on that side of the ball. So that's been Arkansas's Achilles heel for a number of seasons, as I mentioned, under Sam Pittman. But Texas A&M, they're a 7.5 point favorite in this game. And this series, believe it or not, Arkansas leads 42 wins, 36 losses, 3 ties. So Arkansas has had the upper hand in this series, but it looks like Texas A&M probably win this game at home. But or they're playing on the road. I'm sorry, they're playing on the road in Fayetteville. But in the point spread, you're thinking, well, Arkansas is struggling. They fired the coach, but the point spread is not very big. It's only 7.5 points. That's why I'm saying Taylor Green playing at home. Maybe they get some turnovers. They're not very good in that category. They're 118th in the country. Arkansas, Texas A&M is number 56 in the country. So, but maybe the ball bounces their way, and Taylor Green and company can score their usual amount of points and get more possessions. But A&M is a team. They're playing very well. Mike Elko, the second-year coach, defensively, They only give up 294 yards a game, which is a pretty good defense. They allow 103 yards rushing, passing 191 yards. They're 8th in the country with tackles for a loss. They're 5th in the country at sacks, 3.5 a game. They've only intercepted the ball twice, which is 112th. But so they are making having some disruptions on the defensive side with the tackles for loss and the sacks. They're in the top 10 in both of those categories. So A&M's a team to watch out. Marcel Reed, he's playing much better. I talked to somebody recently from Texas A&M, and they said that he threw for over 300 yards, I think, against Notre Dame was possibly. But it was completion percentage was less than 50%, but he had a big ball game with the yardage. So he's good enough as a quarterback right now to win games. He's a dual threat quarterback, of course, but it probably needs to improve that percentage to make himself a top flight quarterback. But they're 6-0 at this point with Marcel Reed leading the team. So they have a good set of receivers. The running back is out. Moss, he's injured again. So, but I think Texas A&M has enough defensively and on offense to beat Arkansas. But like I said, somebody's going to face Arkansas on a really hot day with Taylor Green and company, and the ball's going to bounce Arkansas's way. And you're going to say, how did that happen? Well, because of their offense and not because of the defense, of course. So that's the first game we have. We're looking at Texas A&M going on the road to play Arkansas in Fayetteville. The next game we're going to look at Mizzou, Missouri, 5-1. Let me just backtrack first. Oh, yeah, we had that. We had said that Arkansas lost to Tennessee. Looking at Mizzou, they're coming off that close loss at home, 27-24 to Alabama. Alabama's a hot team, of course. We'll discuss them fairly soon. But Missouri is 5-1, 1-1 in the conference. They're playing at Auburn. Auburn's a team that plays excellent defense. Offensively, they've not been able to get on track. This series is in favor of Auburn, 3-2. Mizzou, and think about this, like I said, 5-1, Auburn 3-3. They're only a 1.5 point favorite, which is not very much. When you think about the fortunes of both teams, you would think that Mizzou with 5 victories would be a much larger favorite, but that's not the case. Offensively, Mizzou is rushing for 270 yards. That's 6th in the country. Their offense, total offense, 511 yards. That's 7th in the country. Auburn, on the other hand, 331 yards. That's 110th in the country. Mizzou averaging 41 points a game. Auburn only 24 points a game. Defensively, Mizzou, number 2 in the country with rush defense, 72 yards. Number 9 with the passing defense, 151 yards, 224 yards total. That's 2nd in the country. Mizzou, excellent defense at this point. They can put pressure on the quarterback. They're 24th in sacks with over 2 sacks per game. Tackles for loss, they're 26th. They're with over 6 tackles for loss per game. They're in the minus category on their turnovers. That's 70th in the country, minus 0.17. And they only have 3 interceptions, which is 92nd in the country. Defensively, Auburn is, like I said, they play fairly good defense. They only give up 86 yards on the ground, 11th in the country, 225 yards passing. That's 76th in the country. So slightly vulnerable there. But overall, 312 yards, 29th in the country. So if Auburn had any kind of offense, they would have won more games. They just can't seem to get things going with Jackson Arnold, the transfer from Oklahoma. They have some talent. I always mention Cam Coleman, a good receiver, big, one-on-one. You can throw him the ball. He can high point it, but they just cannot seem to get going. Hugh Freeze, he's on the hot seat. Auburn, they give up 17 points a game, and Missouri gives up 16 points a game. And as I said, Auburn 24 points a game they score, and 41 points a game from Missouri. So this game could be tight because Auburn has a good crowd at home. They're very tough, but I don't know if they can get that offense to have enough points. They had Georgia on the ropes. They lost a tight ball game, 20-10. They had a 10-0 lead. We all know about that fumble on the goal. And they literally right on the goal line The quarterback sneak, Jackson Arnold, fumbled, but Georgia took the ball the other way to score before the half. So we hear Auburn complaining about the officials, and we know the officials make mistakes. We know that, okay? We understand. But officials are graded, and they're trying to be 100% correct in their calls, and people, they'll make comments about the officials favoring one team or another. Well, if an official makes all these bad calls, he may not be an official very long. So it's very important to them. It's just you hear people suggesting that the officials have an interest in who wins the ball game, but nothing could be further from the truth, because they're trying to maintain that neutrality and be very precise in their calls, but they do make mistakes. They are human. And even with the replay, people don't agree with the replay sometime. And I know a lot of people didn't agree with that, even if they made the call about the fumble on the goal line where it was popped out of Jackson Arnold's hand. The player from Georgia recovered. And like I said, they drove the length of the field to score before the half. So you can complain about the officials, but it's up to you to make your own fortune. And it's part of the equation. Drop passes, interceptions, fumbles, bad calls by the officials, bad calls by coaches. Those are all variables in this equation of winning and losing. So you can't exclude those type of things from the game. I think people always have a tendency to say, if this call was made, we would have won. Well, no, that's part of the game. This is what happened. The call was made, right or wrong. You have to live with it. You have to overcome that adversity. Coaches are always discussing adversity because they know that it's going to happen at some point in a game, in a quarter, in a crucial moment. And you just have to have the resolve and resiliency, as I said, to overcome those types of things, because that is part of the variables that are within that equation of winning and losing. But anyway, we're going to be back and continue our discussion of the next set of ball games that are being played in the Southeastern Conference, and they're against each other this week. There's no non-conference games. It's all within the league. So we're going to be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Hi, I'm AP Steadham with Dr. Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care. And we're back with AP As We See It for segment 3 of our latest edition of AP As We See It. We want to remind our audience to check out our social media platforms and subscribe, if you will, to our Facebook, our Instagram, our X account, our Spotify, and our YouTube channel at AP As We See It, and also my personal one at AP Steadham. You can check all the archived audio on Spotify and also on our YouTube channels. We have all the video production of our broadcast as well at AP As We See It on our YouTube channel. We want to make mention of our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, and remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Also, Dr. Jason Northcutt at 251-947-3636, and also the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, downtown Atlanta, heart of the city. And you could, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you can see on the ticker, we have all our sponsors listed as well. So if you could patronize them, we sure would appreciate it. And like I said, subscribe to our social media platforms, our YouTube channel at AP As We See It. Now we're going to continue our discussion of the SEC games this week. Just want to backtrack for a second, make mention that Missouri in our poll, the Super 16 poll, Football Writers Association, American National Football Foundation, they're at number 16 facing Auburn on the Plains. But that could be a good ball game. Auburn just very tough on defense. Offensively, it's been one struggle after another with Hugh Freeze and company. They just make quite a few mistakes, and get penalties and all types of things happen for them to end up on the short end. But anyway, we're going to go on to the next game. That's Mississippi State. They're 4-2, 0-2 in the conference. They had a bye last week. They're facing Florida in Gainesville. Florida coming off that 34-17 loss at Texas A&M. Florida is a 9.5 point favorite at this point. They're 2-4, 1-2 in the conference. This series has Florida in favor, 35 wins, 19 losses, 2 ties to Mississippi State. Offensively, Mississippi State averaging 33 points a game, 294 yards of offense. They're fairly balanced with the run and the pass, nearly 200 on the run, slightly over 200 on the pass. Offensively, Florida only 22 points a game. That's 103rd in the country. So even with DJ Lagley, they're promising quarterback from the state of Texas, the native of the Lone Star State. They struggle. They're 99th in offense, total offense, 348 yards, only 120 yards rushing, 227 yards passing. Defensively, Mississippi State, they're 99th, giving up 162 yards. In the pass, fairly good, only 171. They're 25th in the country. Total defense, 46. That's 334 yards per game. Florida defensively, they're giving up only 113 yards rushing. That's a good number. That's 34th in the country. Passing 202 yards, 51st. Total defense 33. They surrendered 315 yards per game. But the numbers for Mississippi State, they're not very disruptive defensively. Sacks to 112th in the country. Tackles for loss 114th. They're fairly good in the turnover margin, 20th in the country at 0.83. Sacks for Florida, the same thing, 99th in the country. Tackles for loss, 122nd. Turnovers, they're minus 0.5, which is 99th in the country. Both teams give up 19 points a game. So, but Florida is almost a double-digit favorite. You would think they would hold serve at home in Gainesville against Mississippi State. Blake Shapen and company, the quarterback for Mississippi State, he's had his moments this year. This would be a very good win on the road for Jeff Levy and company. And Billy Napier, the hot seat, would be burning if they lost to Mississippi State at home. But it doesn't look good for Billy Napier at this point. But I don't know. I think there's people behind the scenes trying to make that change, and I wouldn't be surprised, as a number of people. I'm not saying something that's not being reported by others as well who are familiar with the scene in Gainesville. Let's move on to the next game. Big marquee game, one of the big marquee games this week. Number 11 Tennessee versus number 6 Alabama. Alabama's an 8-point favorite. This game will be played in Tuscaloosa. Alabama coming off that solid win on the road versus that undefeated Missouri team. They won 27-24. They held on when Missouri had the ball, was able to intercept Bo Pribula. But and Tennessee had the close win over that Arkansas team, 34-31. This series is in favor of Alabama, 59-40, with 7 ties in the ball game. Tennessee, prolific offense, 48 points a game. Their quarterback, Joey Aguilar, he's thrown for, I think, 200 yards, maybe 30 straight times. They're surprisingly, Tennessee, 22nd in the country in rushing, 210 yards passing. They're 7th, 317 yards. Total offense, 527 yards. That's 4th in the country. They're number 1 in scoring, 48 points a game. Alabama, 34 points a game. That's 36th in the country. Their rushing is 101st at only 126 yards. Passing, top. They're the number 15 team with 304 yards per game. Ty Simpson, he's an outstanding passer. He's developed into one of the better quarterbacks, not only in the conference, but in the country, I believe, with his accuracy and his ability to grasp the offense and lead his team. Total offense, 431 yards. That's 39th in the country. Defensively, Tennessee is 59th in rushing, allowing 136 yards. Passing, 257 yards. That is 121st in the country. So Tennessee's going to give up some points to Alabama via the pass, I believe. Their total defense is 100th in the country, 393 yards a game. Alabama's defense, a rushing defense, 156 yards they allow. That's 93rd in the country. If you look at those two numbers, Tennessee runs for 200. Alabama gives up 156. Something might happen there for Tennessee if they want to be in this ball game, especially if you can hand off to your running backs and the clock is moving and Ty Simpson and the Alabama offense is on the sideline. That would work to Tennessee's favor, but Alabama might rise to the occasion because as we know this is one of the better rivalries in the South and in the country. Alabama, their pass defense, third in the country, only allowing 136 yards. Total defense, 18th, 292 yards. Tennessee's only intercepted 4 passes. Alabama intercepted 6. The sacks, Tennessee's number 1. They're very disruptive. 4.33 per game. That's number 1 in the country. Tackles for loss, 5th, 8.3. The turnover category, they're 0.33, which is 48th. Alabama only, like I said, only 6 interceptions. Sacks, 1.5 per game. That's 99th in the country. Tackles for loss, 94th in the country at 4.8. Turnovers, Alabama's number 2 in the country at 1.5, plus 1.5. That's a big number in their favor. Tennessee allows 29 points per game. That's 104th in the country. Alabama, 17 points per game, which is 22. So those two high-powered offenses. Alabama with a little bit better defense, obviously. Tennessee, 104th. So Tennessee is going to have to utilize every possession to score if they're going to be in this ball game against Alabama. Like I said, is an 8-point favorite. Tennessee is the underdog in this game, visiting Tuscaloosa, Alabama. But I just want to say something about this Alabama football team because we know they started off this season with the double-digit loss in Tallahassee. Ty Simpson, his first start, he didn't have the total support throughout the ball game. Receivers dropping the ball, Alabama's offensive line not knocking people off the line at the point of attack. They weren't able to run the ball effectively, so Alabama was caught in a big upset, and we know what happened to Florida State since then. Lost to Virginia, Pittsburgh, and they've been on a slide. So the folks from Alabama, they should be rooting for Florida State because that would be viewed as a bad loss every time Florida State loses, and they've had a couple so far, not very good ones for Florida State, and they're trying to regroup. But Alabama, they've recovered. Ty Simpson, the receivers are catching the ball for him. Jam Miller came back from an injury, had a 100-yard game, 136 yards. And they went on the road to beat Georgia, which is a top team. They went on the road to beat an undefeated Missouri team, undefeated Georgia team. So this Alabama team has made the recovery, and they're on the right track. And I think they're one of the teams to look as an excellent chance to be in the league championship game in Atlanta. I still think Georgia's the team to beat. We'll discuss that in the next segment. But we just wanted to let people know that this Alabama team, and as we said, be patient. Kellen DeBoer, he knows how to win football games. He beat Dan Lanning multiple times, Steve Sarkisian multiple times, not with Alabama, but in his other league, the Pac-12, up in Washington. But he knows how to win football games. So they needed to be patient because Ty Simpson is definitely an accurate quarterback who can lead a team. They have a good core of receivers when they're playing well, probably one of the best, top 5 in the country, let's say. But anyway, we're going to be right back after these messages with another segment of AP as we see.
Hi, I'm AP Steadham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
And we're back with AP as we see it for segment 4. We're going to continue our discussion with the rest of the league games, but we want to make mention to all our audience to, if you would, please subscribe to all our social media platforms at Facebook, Instagram, X account, Spotify, and YouTube channel. That's at AP As We See It, and also my personal social media platforms at AP Steadham, so you can keep in touch with all the things that we do. I'd like to make mention that every weekend I'm normally at a college football game. Last weekend it was the Ohio State Buckeyes facing the Fighting Illini of Illinois. So all those interviews and photos and the pageantry of the college football are on our social media platforms. And this week I'll be traveling, as we always say, to open the show, where we always keep in touch with college football on the national scene. One of the great rivalries of all time between the University of Southern California Trojans and the University of Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So I'll be in South Bend this weekend, along with checking out the New Orleans Saints versus the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. So you can see all those photos and post-game interviews as well on our YouTube channel at AP As We See It, and our social media platforms will have links and photos and links to the videos as well, along with this another edition of AP As We See It. But anyhow, I just also want to mention our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. Also, Robertsdale Dental Care with Dr. Jason Northcutt at 251-947-3636. And Ben Giacomo and his staff at the Cortland Grand Hotel in downtown, the heart of Atlanta. So those are our sponsors. So if you could patronize them, we sure would appreciate it. Let's move on to another game we have. The Texas Longhorns coming off a very, very impressive 23-6 win over the Oklahoma Sooners. You know, Oklahoma has not scored a touchdown in 3 years against Texas. I was there last year, and they just had no chance. Michael Hawkins Jr. was the freshman quarterback out of Dallas. He was named the starter of that game versus the Longhorns, and he's from Dallas, Texas, as I said. But half a dozen of the receivers were out for that ball game. So, but he was a quarterback that I think was ill prepared for that moment. But Texas, Arch Manning and company made enough plays. They had a 75-yard punt return to seal the game for the Longhorns. So that was a big win for them. Texas sitting at 4-2, 1-1 in the conference. They're 12.5-point favorites as they are on the road to Lexington, Kentucky. Kentucky struggling offensively. They're 2-3, 0-3 in the conference. And it just looks like Mark Stoops and company, they just can't do anything on the offensive side of the football to make things happen for them. So I don't know how they're going to face this Texas team coming off the big victory, and they're trying to stay alive for the playoffs. But anyway, looking at this ball game, Texas is averaging 28 points a game. They're only surrendering 11 points per game, which is third in the country. Kentucky's giving up 27 points a game, which is 95th, and they're scoring only 24 points a game. So it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Kentucky to win this ball game. I think Texas is going to continue now. They've had a rough patch there, but they made the big comeback against one of their rivals, the Red River rivalry, the Oklahoma Sooners. So they won that ball game convincingly, 23-6. So I look for the Texas Longhorns to beat the Wildcats in Lexington. Let's move on to the next ball game. We have LSU facing Vanderbilt. LSU ranked number 10 in the Football Writers Association of America National Football Foundation Super 16 poll, 25 points a game, giving up just 11 points a game, fifth in the country, 43 points a game for Vanderbilt, 19 points a game. They're allowing 36 in the country. Vanderbilt, I'm going to repeat this, Vanderbilt is the favorite at 2.5 points in Nashville. So that's pretty big for them. LSU 5-1, 2-1 in the conference, 5-1 for Vanderbilt, 1-1 in the conference. They're coming off by LSU had a 20-10 victory over South Carolina. It was a hard fought ball game. They didn't run away with it, but they did win the ball game against the Gamecocks in Baton Rouge. So that should be an excellent ball game to keep your eye on. A very interesting historical perspective on this game. Way back in the 1930s, Huey Long was the flamboyant governor and eventual senator from Louisiana, I believe. So he made the railroad company take the student body of LSU to the game in Nashville to see him play Vanderbilt. So that's kind of a fun story to recall about the LSU Vanderbilt game. LSU leads this rivalry 25 wins, 7 losses, 1 tie. So looking at the next game, the Oklahoma Sooners, very disappointing loss to the Texas Longhorns. Didn't score a touchdown. John Mateer came back from his hand injury, threw 3 interceptions. Just to backtrack for 1 second, LSU's offense not performing very well. They 20 points. They're stuck on 20 points, I think, against Power 4 teams. So they're going to have to be ready against this Vanderbilt team that scores a lot of points. But anyway, Oklahoma, no touchdowns against the Longhorns for the 3rd straight year. Offensively, 29 points a game, giving up just 9 points a game. That's 2nd in the country. 19 points a game are surrendered by South Carolina. That's 32nd in the country. South Carolina only scores 22 points a game. That's 103rd in the country. Oklahoma has a very disruptive defense, 3rd in the country in sacks with 3.67. Tackles for loss number 1, that's 10.3 per game. They're in the minus in the turnover category, minus 1.17. That's 128th, near the bottom. Turnover category for South Carolina, 8th in the country, positive 1. They have 8 interceptions, which is 12th in the country. Oklahoma just has the 1. Like I say, defensively, total defense, Oklahoma number 1 in the country, under 211 yards. South Carolina, 339 yards, 50th in the country. But if you look at the point spread and you're comparing these numbers, there's only a 5.5 point spread favoring the Oklahoma Sooners. So that's kind of interesting, I think. Even though these teams are seem to have a difference in talent favoring the Sooners, but they're only a 5.5 point favorite. Let's look at our last game right now, the schedule that we have. This is game number 8. Marquee game, definitely. The Ole Miss team traveling to Athens, Georgia. Ole Miss number 5 in the poll. Georgia number 8. Georgia is a 7.5 point favorite in this ball game. Ole Miss, fairly good offensively, usually 38 points a game. That's 20th in the country. Only scored 24 against Washington State. They were a big favorite. They escaped with that victory. I know Lane Kiffin wasn't happy. Total offense, 5th in the country, 515 yards. Like I said, they only beat the Cougars from Pullman 24-21. This series is in favor of Georgia. 34 wins, 13 losses, 1 tie. Defensively, Mississippi, 49th in the country. Total defense, 99th in sacks, 118th in tackles for loss, 110th in turnovers. In the turnover category, Georgia can run the football effectively, nearly 200 yards, 185. They pass for 229 yards. They have over 400 yards of offense. That's 51st. Defensively, only allow 91 yards rushing, 215 passing. So Mississippi will score some points because of that pass defense. It's 60th in the country. Running the football, Ole Miss, 204 yards per game. So maybe that's where they have their little bit of an edge against the Georgia Bulldogs at home and at Athens. But Georgia only allows 91 points a game, 91 rushing yards per game. They're 307 yards total defense for Georgia. That's 26th in the country. They've intercepted 4 passes. Like I said, sacks, 112th in the country. They can't get to the quarterback, Georgia. Tackles for loss, 107. Turnovers are minus 0.17 to 78th in the country. But I just like to make this note about Georgia, as they did about Alabama. I think Georgia's still the team to beat in this conference. They're not they're far from perfect, especially with their offense and defensively as well, but they know how to win ball games. They were down on the road against Auburn 10-0, knocked the ball out of the quarterback's hand on the 1-inch yard line, drove the field, scored before the half, came back and won, shut out Auburn in the second half 20-10 on the road. That's impressive. Even though Auburn's struggling offensively, they still had command of the game at one point. But I think that Georgia is a team that knows how to win. And that counts a lot in my book. And like I said, Ole Miss, they don't have the defense they did the last few years offensively. Yeah, they're strong, but Georgia seems to come up with ways to stop teams. But anyhow, that's our show for this week. Those 8 conference games. I'll be at South Bend, Indiana, checking out a couple potential contenders who might earn a berth in the college football playoffs to compete against the SEC teams. But we thank you very much for being part of another edition of AP as we see it, and we'll be back next week. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm AP Steadham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.